All right, let's dive right into one of the biggest questions there is. Are we just the product of slow, steady evolution, or did our civilization get a little push, a jump start, from visitors who weren't from around here? This is the heart of the Ancient Astronaut Theory. I mean, think about it. What if those beings who descended from the heavens in our oldest, most sacred texts, what if they were just flesh and blood travelers from another world? You see, for thousands of years, cultures that were totally separate, we're talking separated by vast oceans and entire continents, have all told a strikingly similar story. We call it myth, but this theory asks, what if it's just a distorted memory? A memory of something that actually happened. The evidence, when you line it all up, it's strange, it's consistent, and frankly, it's pretty unsettling. So, where does this story even begin? Well, it starts with the oldest written records we've ever found, ancient Sumerian tablets. Back in 1976, a researcher named Zecharia Sitchin published translations that basically dropped a bombshell on the world of archaeology. He claimed these clay tablets weren't just myths. He said they were historical documents, and they detailed, in his view, direct contact with extraterrestrial. Now, mainstream scholars will tell you the Anunnaki are just part of the Sumerian pantheon of gods, mythology. But Sitchin's translation was way more literal. He argued the name itself tells you exactly who they were, those who from heaven to earth came. Not gods, but travelers. And where did they come from? According to Sitchin's work, a planet called Nibiru, a supposed undiscovered member of our own solar system, but on this huge, long, elliptical orbit that brings it through the inner solar system only once every few thousand years. And the reason they came all the way to Earth? Well, it was a mission born out of cosmic desperation. The story goes like this. Their atmosphere on Nibiru was failing, and they needed one specific resource to save it, gold. So they came here to mine it. But after tens of thousands of years of brutal labor, the Anunnaki workers, the rank and file, they had enough. They revolted. And the leadership, facing a full-blown crisis, turned to a really radical solution. They decided to engineer a primitive worker to do the job for them. And this right here is the theory's core claim. That famous line, which you can find in both Sumerian texts and later in the Bible, isn't about a spiritual act of creation. The theory says it's a literal description of the Anunnaki taking a native hominid that already existed on Earth and upgrading it with their own DNA. It wasn't divine, it was genetic engineering. Okay, so if this were just one story from one ancient culture, you could probably just dismiss it, right? But here's where it gets weird. Proponents of this theory point out that this very specific narrative, humanity being created to serve beings from the sky, it's not just in Sumeria, it's everywhere. Just look at this pattern. The Babylonians, the Maya, the Sumerians, even the book of Genesis, they all share the same basic idea. Humanity is created from the earth, from clay or dust or blood, for one main reason, to do the work, to serve the gods. Is that really just a coincidence? And it's not limited to written texts. If you look at the oral traditions of the Zuni and Hopi tribes in North America, they talk about the Kachinas, the sky people. And they're very clear. These weren't spirits. They were physical beings who came down in flying shields and brought the knowledge of farming and civilization with them. And what if they weren't just telling stories, but actually drawing what they saw? All over the planet, you find these ancient petroglyphs, these rock carvings, of figures that just look bizarre to our modern eyes. Now, mainstream archaeology says these are probably shamans and ritual masks, symbolic figures. But you have to ask, are they? Or are they depicting something else entirely? And it goes beyond just art. In Sierra Leone, these things called sky stones have been found buried deep in the earth, in layers that are thousands of years old. Their geological origin is a complete mystery. Scientists can't identify them. And the local legend? It claims they fell from the sky. Are they just some rare natural mineral? Or could they be fragments of something else? Something technological? But for a lot of people who look into this, the most powerful piece of evidence isn't a carving or a weird stone. It's impossible knowledge. It's an ancient culture knowing something that they simply should not have known. So back in the 1930s, anthropologists were living with the Dogon tribe in Mali, and they stumbled onto a secret that just defies all logical explanation. Hidden away in their most secret traditions was this incredibly detailed astronomical knowledge about Sirius, the brightest star in our sky. Get this, the Dogon knew that Sirius has an invisible companion star, something you can't see with the naked eye. They knew this companion was, in their words, the heaviest star, incredibly dense, and they knew it had a 50-year orbit around the main star. Modern astronomy didn't confirm any of this until the 20th century, using massive telescopes. The Dogon knew for centuries, which of course leads to the big question, how? Seriously, without telescopes, without any modern physics, how in the world could they have this incredibly precise astronomical data? Well, if you ask the Dogon, they have a very simple answer. They'll tell you the Nomo told them. They describe them as amphibious beings who came down from the sky in a fiery arc, beings who came from the Sirius system itself and who gave them this knowledge. So the last piece of this puzzle moves from ancient texts and distant stars right into our own bodies, into the code of life itself. The theory asks, what if the evidence for this whole story is written in our genes? You see, for millions of years, the evolution of our ancestors was a very slow, gradual process. Then, all of a sudden, in what is basically a blink of an eye in geological time, Homo sapiens appears. And there's this sudden, unexplained explosion of cognitive ability. Art, symbolism, complex language. It all just seems to pop into existence overnight. The theory suggests this wasn't just random evolution. It was a targeted upgrade. And here's the biological clue. Our closest primate relatives, like chimps and gorillas, they have 48 chromosomes. We have 46. And when geneticists looked closer, they found that our chromosome 2 looks exactly like two separate ape chromosomes that were fused together end to end. For proponents of the theory, that's not just a natural mutation. They see it as a scar, the mark of a genetic editing process. As one researcher put it, when you look at our sudden intelligence, our fragile bodies that seem so poorly adapted to this planet in some ways, and our strange genetic makeup, it leaves this powerful and pretty unsettling impression. Now, of course, mainstream science has explanations for all of these things. The myths are just metaphors for nature. The art is purely symbolic. The DNA anomalies are a result of natural evolution, coincidences. But the Ancient Astronaut Theory offers one single, unifying idea that connects all these dots. It suggests that what our ancestors called gods were just beings with advanced technology. What they called magic was just science they couldn't possibly understand. And that our creation wasn't a miracle, it was a project. And that leaves us right here with the ultimate question. Are all of these connections across myths, art, astronomy, and even our own DNA, are they all just a product of coincidence in human psychology? Or could they be the faint, lingering echoes of a real, shared event buried deep in our collective past? A memory that tells us we may have never, ever been alone. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Leave your opinion in the comments and tell me which topic you'd like me to talk about next. The comment with the most likes will be turned into a video.